It's not London, it's not Manchester. The city with the fastest rising rents in the whole of the UK was right here in Newport, South Wales. Now, there are more landlords than teachers right now, which means renting is pretty much everywhere. But in Cymru, rents are rising faster than anywhere else, and we're in Newport to ask why. In your new book, Who Cares About Wales, you describe Margaret Thatcher as having a borderline sexual kink for the open market. What is it about Margaret Thatcher and her legacy that is still punishing Newport today in terms of rent and in terms of housing?
What we saw in the 80s was a movement away from how we support people who can't afford to pay the market rate for a place to live. Before the 1980s, the state would provide that in the form of council houses. And there was a change in the 80s, early 90s, where we basically said, right, what we're going to do instead is we are going to say that the benefit system is going to pick up that slack. So what they introduced was local housing allowance, and that's what we use now. And that's basically the proportion of support you can get for your rent. They take the average level in an area, and it used to be 50%. You can get a house worth 50% of the average value in your area. You'll get supported towards that if you can't afford a home. But the Tories reduced that down to 30%, and then they froze the rate. So inflation made that proportionally poorer and poorer and poorer. When Labour came in, Rishi Sunak had just increased it back to that 50%, but the first thing that the Labour government did was to freeze it. And by freezing it, it meant that proportionally every year, the amount that you could get to support your rent went down. Now that is not a problem if rents aren't going up. In an area like Newport, where it's going up faster than anywhere else in the UK, that decision by a UK government, a UK Labour government, actually hit the people of Newport who, for time immemorial, have voted Labour. It hit them harder than any other part of the UK.
You might be there for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and suddenly your landlord thinks of a bigger number. All the other landlords in your city, in your community, in the country think of a bigger number as well. And they all decide collectively to hike the rents. And either you can afford it or you can't. And it's increasingly becoming the case that working class people, young people, they can't afford these rent hikes. And so what do? Especially if every other landlord in your community is doing the same thing. You're forced into homelessness, you're forced out onto the street, you're either evicted or your tenancy won't be renewed.
People across Wales are paying on average 41% of their income on private rent, which is much higher than what it should be. And what that does is it means that people cannot put money into the local economy. It means that they can't save for their own welfare. It means that they may have to move because they can't afford to live in the place where they built a community, where they might have grown up. It's about community fragmentation as well, ultimately.
Newport is basically like Legoland for landlords. Tons of bricks already laid and paid for by someone else, with loads of kids to make money off. What happens here might just decide the fate of Cymru. And with the Senedd elections coming up, it'll either be tenants or landlords that are on the menu.